How y'all doing? I hope you're doing fine. I'm not doing too bad for an old man with a lot of aches and pains. But, you know, a couple months back I did a video showing pottery, prehistoric pottery from Michigan here. And as I've been searching over the years looking for artifacts, pottery has always been one of my favorites. And it just says, to me, it's more distinctive than even the arrowheads or the axes and what have you. There's a lot more personal expression, I think, in the creation of the pots that the people made to use for food storage or for cooking food and what have you. So today I want to show you some examples of pottery that I have from the southeast, down in the Georgia area, and the southwest, out in the Four Corners region. And I have a nice small collection of both, but I hope that you'll enjoy seeing them. And so I'm going to move upstairs to my living room where I can show those to you. I'll be right back with you in just a moment. Well, okay, here we are in my living room, and I have my collections of pottery set up in old aquariums. I find them frequently discarded beside the road here in Saginaw, and I always pick them up because they make nice display cases and they keep things safe. So there's 11 pieces of pottery, and there's one pottery trowel in here. And this first collection is from the southwest Four Corners region. This is a particular favorite of mine. Can you see the texture in it? It has a corrugated type texture, which was a common use or common thing in the southwest, well, in other parts of the nation too. I particularly like how the rim flares out. It's dark on the inside, the firing. They were not highly fired like ceramics today, but and then on the inside there is something I hadn't noticed before. Right down in here, it looks like there is a design. You see that? I never noticed that before, and I'm going to have to study that piece out and comment on it later. They look almost like pictograph type designs. But anyways, again, I love the way that flares out like that. I wonder what that is. I'm really mystified by that at this point, because like I said, I've never seen that on here before. I mean, obviously it was there, I just never saw it. This probably would have been a fairly large Ola type bowl, as would this one. Now this is another, these, by the way, are all about 500 years old. Now this is another piece that has the corrugated texture. The rim doesn't flare out quite so dramatically, and it's fired better. You notice there's no black inside of it. And on the reverse, we have no design hiding. But very cool piece. These I enjoy just touching these things because they're so old and they're so cool. This would have been a smaller Ola type bowl, again with a flared out rim, quite flared actually, and again with the corrugated surface. It is blackened inside, so it wasn't highly fired, and that's what the inside looked like. A lot of them that I have do show that corrugation. This is another one. It has a very smooth upper rim, and it does have corrugation there too, but it's different because it has this smooth texture here. It is, again, it looked like it was fairly well fired compared to the rest. It's blackened inside from use. Nice flare to the rim, as I said. And then here's another one, and this too would have been corrugated. A similar flare to the rim. Notice how, though, that in profile, the difference between the rim pieces that I've been showing you. The reverse shows, you know, smooth, as the reverse of most of them are. That would have been a fairly large bowl. This one, similar again to another one I showed you just a second ago. It has a smooth surface here, but it's under the lip instead of like on the other one. Corrugation. Let's look at the profile. The rim profile again is different than any of the others. It is very sharply turned outward. Now this piece is really interesting to me because it has red, red, I don't know if you want to call it slip get my finger out of the way so you can actually see that. So it would have had a geometrical design on it. This would have been a jar, I believe, with a constricted neck. And the inside, very nicely fired, very thin. And let's look at this profile again. This profile is different than any of the others that I showed you. With the, so you can see where the neck would be constricted, the body would have been bulbous at the bottom, and just a really cool piece. Really cool piece. And then another one corrugated, similar to the other ones that I've shown you that were corrugated. And profile is similar to one of the other ones that I showed you. Oh, and then, you know, there's actually 12 pieces in here because I forgot about this little one down front. It has what looks like would have been a cross-hatched design on it, like cord marking. The rim here is kind of, or the lip is kind of damaged, somewhat worn away. The inside you can see is blackened from use. The profile again, somewhat different again than the other ones I showed you, and it would have been a small bowl. Over here, this would have been another big Ola. Again, it's got that corrugated pattern on it, and smooth under the lip. Profile, a dramatic outturn, and it is blackened on the inside somewhat from use. Again, corrugated, smooth under the rim and lip. Flares out nicely fired, thin-walled vessel. And this one, again, this would plain surfaced up here on the rim and lip, corrugated underneath that. This would have been a smallish bowl. Profile again is quite distinctly different from the other ones in this collection. And then the pottery trowel. This is a reddish, orangish, brownish jasper. Then held like this, and this bottom would have been used for smoothing the pottery during its production. You can see residue remaining on the bottom from the production of pottery. So a very nice find from the Southwest, and very pretty stone. I brought this piece over into better light. This is the one that has what looks like design applied to it down here. It looks almost like a fish type design with some kind of caricatures in through here and up here. Now it may not be anything at all, but it certainly looks like something that had been applied, and a decorative motif inside would be very, very, very uncommon. So I'm going to have to do some more checking in my books and see what this could possibly. Alright, these pieces of pottery that I'm showing you now are from the Southeast. They are from Georgia. My son David, pictured there, and this is me over here, visited the Etowah Mounds. I believe it was around 2006, 2007, and we saw beautifully decorated pottery in the museum there. And when we got home, David found these pieces on eBay, from the Cartersville area, which is where the Etowah Mound is, and they looked exactly like pieces that we saw in the museum. So he got those for me for my birthday on April 2nd, 2010, and let's see, it dates from the time of the mound's creation, making it between 1000 and 1400 AD. This is classified as Etowah complicated stamped pottery, and it's going to be seen in this display, and as I'm going to show you a little bit closer in a minute, the shards are marked by complex circular designs. And so these would have been this from several different pots. They would have all been kind of a, well, like this, kind of a globular body with a nice nice neck and rim. It probably would have been considered more of a jar than a pot. So let's look at the pieces individually. Here is a rim piece, and it has a hole drilled in it, and that was for mending. That would be, they would drill holes on either side of a crack in a pot rather than throwing it away, and they would bind it with strips of rawhide leather and wet it, and when that dried it would pull together and make a tight seal for that vessel. Now these other ones I'm going to show you, there are two different vessels represented here, but look at the design on all these. I'm not going to talk a lot about these because I don't know a great deal about them other than where they're from, but the design on them is fascinating. The concentric circles you see, and you'll see this design in so many other cultures across the world. And in fact, there's a great huge stone, I think the stone is at the Funk Heritage Center in Waleska, and it has these same designs carved into its surface. So I'd like to know in ancient cultures what the circular pattern represented to the people. Now this one is a little more ornate, as you can see, a little more ornate. These were all fired quite nicely too. This one has a circle inside of almost like a starburst. And this one is not so ornamented. This one is another really complicated design. I'd love to see in the complete design. Quite amazing, actually, if you ask me. As I said, there are rim shirts here representing two different vessels. This one too has nice designs on it. These were all really nicely fired. And then there are two pieces here. Well, this one's constructed up of three shards that fit together. It's plain surfaced, and then this one, I would assume is towards the bottom of the vessel, because up here we see some of the circular design, but down here it's plain surface. So I'm assuming that they probably didn't decorate the bottom of the pot, just the sides where you would see it. So a nice collection, for which I thank my stepson David for purchasing that for me 10 years ago. So I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at some of these pottery fragments and shards and such from around the country. Thanks for stopping by. Hey, if you feel so inclined, please give me a thumbs up. God bless you all.